Hi everyone, welcome back. You're still here with us on the C Morning Show, and it's time for our morning discussion. And as you all know, seeing children's growth and development well and gradually is obviously the desire of many of us parents.
Definitely, and one stage that is quite and very pivotal, I think, in a child's growth and development is the stage of speaking or uttering words. However, several children may experience speech delays, and some children may experience speech delay and other things too.
Exactly.
So with that said, here's what you need to know more about it.
Speech delay is exactly what it sounds like, a delay in speech and language skills that is not appropriate to the child's age as it develops. So this condition actually makes children unable to convey their thoughts due to limited language and understanding. And if gone untreated, speech delay may hinder a child's development.
However, if your child has a speech delay, it does not always mean something is wrong with them. They may simply be only, a late bloomer, and of course can also be caused by hearing loss or underlying neurological or development disorders.
So, Carol, this is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart.
Yes.
Our second child had developed a speech delay, and the first thing we did, it's true what we just said there, first thing we did was check his hearing because he wasn't responding to when his name was being called,
Yes.
and that the doctor at the time said, no, his hearing's perfectly fine.
Okay.
So then when we actually did bring him to a psychologist, they said, oh, this is actually something that is happening a lot lately. This was late 2020, so it was like, oh, we're in the middle of a pandemic,
Right.
and kids are not being exposed to what they're normally exposed to. So today we're going to find out more about this topic and how us as parents can be more aware of our child's development if they're experiencing speech delay. So joining us in the studio this morning is pediatrician Dr. Kurniawan Satria Denta. Good morning, Doc. Thank you for being
Good
here.
morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here again.
Yeah, thank you for having me also.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, so we're going to talk about speech delay and, of course, the common causes and symptoms of speech delay in children, because some parents sometimes they were thinking in denial. No,
And
I
it's
think
an old-fashioned way of thinking.
Yes.
You notice that
yes.
as well? Like,
I
oh,
mean,
it's okay.
some of the older generation would say usually boys would speak later on.
Yes, they say, oh, it's
because
just a
they're more
boy.
motoric, and then the girls or daughters or grandchildren or granddaughters would speak more. Is that true?
Well, actually, yes and no. The thing is about speech delay, maybe around half of them, exactly like you said, they're just late.
Bloomer.
But the thing is, speech milestone or speech ability, it's definitely one parameter to convey their future cognitive skill. So that's why if we are late to do something about it, and then it's gonna be late also for the cognitive in the future. So
What's
like
the parameter like for a child or a toddler to speak out? Like
well,
12 months or like 1.5 years?
the red
Varies.
flag can already be seen like since very early, like 2 months, 3 months. They're not responding to when the parents call, or maybe they're not smiling.
Okay. They're not reacting.
They're not reacting. They don't have like the eye contact. So sometimes some of my patients with speech delay already can't pretty much guess during the first 6 months, and after that another 6 months, another 18 months, we can see whether the milestone is achieved. So there's practically red flags in the period, and then we have to be concerned about that.
But if it's, like Caroline brought up an interesting point, if it's 50-50, like you said, Doc, like a child could just be a late bloomer, or a child could have some sort of special needs that we need to address, and like you said, early detection is key. How do we know which is which? Which red flags are we supposed to pay attention to? And, if we're supposed to do something about it, as opposed to just letting them be and let them bloom at their own.
Well, you don't have to decide which one is which.
Okay.
The thing is, the later we intervene with the condition, if they're really late because of some underlying condition, the more difficult that we can solve the problem. So for us, any delay, then we can just intervene since the beginning, like screening, like diagnosing. So yes, we have watchful waiting, but it has to be very careful in a sense of we don't just neglecting. Oh,
Yeah.
it's okay. Just the brother also do like that, or maybe the father also late bloomer. So we don't do that. We just the early detection is the key, and then the earlier we do something about it, the better the outcome.
That's what I was told as well, because I remember when we first spoke to the psychologist, I said, well, there are many other conditions this could be. Could it be autism, for example? Could it be on the spectrum? He said, well, it's too early to tell when they're 1 year old. We can't diagnose them until at least they're 3 or 4. Then I said, what should we do about it? Because it was COVID, the psychologist actually said, there's no harm in putting him into sensory therapy. If it turns out to be nothing, then you would have just, sped up their development a little bit faster anyway. So there is no actual harm in getting them earlier help, even if it turns out to be nothing to begin with.
Yeah, and there will be harm if we delay
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
their therapy if actually they needed the therapy.
If it turns out there was something.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
I mean, with Paul's case, Doc, do you see that because of the pandemic, this erupted more, especially in children, because they're more confined in their housing and their houses, and they didn't have any social skills because
I know
usually
there's two things, right? There's no stimulation, for example. They're
That's
going
right.
outside
Yes.
less. But also we were wearing masks, right?
so they can't see your
They're
expressions
unable
and
to do what we do.
Yeah.
Right. Is that true?
Yes, exactly. That's what happened. What we found after the pandemic. And post-pandemic, there are more and more cases of developmental delay in the sense of speech skill. That's also one of the cause. Plenty of cause of speech delay. Lack of stimulation is one of it. Like you said, wearing masks, and then the exposure of gadget and screen time.
That's
And
Okay, let's talk about
so
that.
like
Yes.
under stimulation and etc. It will make them harder to develop their speech skills.
Yeah.
Speech is not only like the sound, but also the receptive, the way they understand the mouth
How it
opening,
moves.
how it moves, and then everything. It's a very complex. So if the kids doesn't have or doesn't get enough stimulation, then one of the things that can happen is
I am very guilty on this. Like, while the doctor mentioning to me, I was like, yes, I'm guilty, because wherever we go right now, we've seen, especially if a family in a restaurant, you see all of those children not handed over. They're putting like little gadgets in front of them. So, the parents is hoping that the children could just be eat.
We'll just keep them
well,
calm.
yeah, so do not disrupt anyone else. But that could also put a puncture on their development. It seems.
yes. There's also actually some literature that showed there is a lack of speech development for the kids that already have plenty of
Screen time.
gadget exposure or screen time.
As parents, we're thinking about what they're watching is people that is talking, right?
We assume
they
it's
would,
stimulating them,
It
right?
would stimulate their brain
Yeah,
to
but
speak.
But it's not a two-way interaction,
Oh, okay.
The thing is that it's not because of some radiation or something from
Yes.
the screen. No, it's
Okay.
because of the interaction is not
see.
there. Because you talk, you talk about something, the monitor talk about something,
Yes. Right.
and the content about something. But when the kids saying something,
They don't
they
reciprocate that.
don't respond according to our communication.
Okay,
Got it now.
I'm understanding this, because one of the highly recommended ones is Miss Rachel. So Miss Rachel, what she does, I noticed, because she's a kids teacher as well, she actually, it seems like she's talking to herself, but she's asking the kids,
Yes.
do you know what this is? And she's
Yeah.
giving them a chance to respond. But even so, the kids aren't really responding because they know it's a television, right?
Yes.
Or whatever that they're watching. So what is actually happening in the child's brain when a child is watching something or being stimulated by a gadget, as opposed, like, what is actually happening in there? They're learning, aren't they? But what is it that's causing the development delay other than the lack of interaction?
Well, there is a gap, or maybe like a gap in a stimulation.
Okay.
Like during the first 2 or 3 years, kids they are learning how to understand the environment
I see.
more, right? And then when they see the animals in the screen,
Yes.
it's not like the real size animal, right? So
Right.
sometimes maybe they see a cat or a dog there, and then they see outside why the dog is bigger, and
Yes.
then there's a gap like that, and then it becoming perplexing for the kids to understand the word better. Then that kind of gap will make the neuron, the nervous system, the brain cell is more difficult to grow.
I never thought of that.
No, I thought again. I thought because the kids cannot be using gadgets because of the radioactive. Now I know
radioactive
it's
or
a
something.
stimulating.
No,
And
or
from-
like a blue light. No,
Yes.
it's not
For me, I always thought like if they're teaching you, well, D stands for dog,
Yeah.
so then they know what it is.
Yeah,
But
they
I always
understand.
heard this, Doc, that it's actually better to let the kids play outside and touch the cat and like
Right.
play with
Yes,
them because
exactly.
they're actually feeling. So what's happening there? Now that we know what it's not doing on the screen, but when a child is actually playing with something and being stimulated,
Playing on the dirt.
like or
dirt.
they say let them play bare feet outside.
Yes.
What is actually happening that's stimulating them, that's allowing them to be able to speak a little easier?
Yeah, maybe. Well, you're more familiar with this also, where your kids outside, the stimulation is multisensory, right?
Okay.
So it's 3D, 4D or something.
Right, okay.
Because like in the screen you only like
flat.
flat.
Yeah.
But outside you can see the size of the cat. You can feel the fur. Like you can hear the sound.
Yes.
The cat can interact with you, etc.
Right.
etc.
Yeah.
So the sensor is more robust other than just 2D flat.
Yeah.
It's multidimensional.
Yeah,
That makes
multidimensional. That make the brain connection go and grow faster and faster.
And then what that does is then it stimulates them to want to communicate,
Yes,
correct?
exactly.
Now, aside from the gadgets, though, Doc, let's say there's another case where maybe a child is not used to the gadgets, but they're seeing their parents at home. Then probably the parents is trying to talk and try to stimulate, but don't have the patience, right? So, how can we as parents really help our children to stimulate and the developments in their child growth?
Well, I always said it to plenty of parents that you don't have to have a special set of skills to stimulate your kids
Yes.
or children. Just understand their capacity and just do your daily stuff at home. You're doing your cooking, you're telling story with your kids, and then you're coming back from home. Maybe the father coming back at home, and then tell the story about how is it works. Sometimes even if they're still a baby, it works. It helps.
How you're feeling.
Yeah,
right?
how you're feeling.
Yes,
and
because some parents would go back home and they'll be on their gadgets again when the
Yes,
children is
yes,
speaking.
yes, yes.
Like, okay, wait. I still have jobs and I have my work to do. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
And then you
the
wonder
children-
why they're not answering you.
Yeah. And that happened a lot
yeah.
nowadays, especially with parents with multiple tasks and also jobs they have to
Correct.
do at the same time.
Because sometimes parents tend to overthinking.
Okay.
And then, okay, we need to have a special toy or special tools, and
Right.
we have to have a special time. We have to invest 2 or 3 hours a day with a structure set of stimulation. No, it's not like that. It doesn't happen like it's come naturally actually.
Okay. Well, one thing that I was guilty of, Doc, earlier, it was quite difficult for me to accept because our first kid was just developed so quickly that I set certain milestones already that I expected my second to hit. When he didn't hit them, it was difficult for me to handle it. There were many times where I was frustrated. My wife, not so much, but me more on my side, where as you get frustrated, you try to force your kids to do certain things. In fact, we just heard from a case from our producer that a child was found at a school with, I believe it was scratch
Scratches.
marks
Yes.
or signs of abuse from a parent that was clearly frustrated with their child's lack of speech or their speech development delays. So as a parent, when we get an obstacle such as this, what is the best way to handle it? Because obviously the more I noticed, the more I got frustrated, the less he was responding to me. And I had to eventually I found different ways to handle my own emotion. And that was when I was able to connect with him better. But it actually took some time. It was a process there. So what is the best way to handle that kind of obstacle?
Well, if you feel like too frustrated or maybe like burning out of the condition, you always have to search for professional help, or maybe now it's very quite accessible. You go to the primary health care. We already had the services for that. Even you go to the district hospital.
Yeah.
Most of the parents, they thought that this is a very a rare condition, taboo, and then if we want to doing the intervention, it have to be very expensive. Go to the private hospital. So, but this one is also can be covered by.
What sort of things are being done with the children with professionals that are able to kind of help them with their development?
Well, at first, speech delay is only symptoms. It's not the diagnosis. So we have to find out exactly the underlying condition of what happened. So there is no one solution like for all speech delay conditions. So we have to like one by one, and then we have to make sure we have to screen do a screening and then do a diagnostic. What happened in this kid? You know, like your kids doing the hearing test, etc. So after that, we only can find out, okay, this one we need to do what kind of intervention.
Okay.
Well, early detection or intervention is really the key here.
Yes,
So
early
what
detection.
happens if we're kind of like delaying this and it gets too late? And again, you were saying that, Kai, went to therapy and whatnot. What is the best therapy, especially for children with this underlying condition?
Well, the complication, like that, the worst outcome would be their cognitive skill development is not as good as other kids. So there will be difficulty during their school age.
Yeah.
They maybe their friends, their counterpart can already read or write. They
Yes.
cannot something like that, or they cannot count, or maybe they cannot be independent later, something like that. So it's a one of the study actually showed that speech or language development is the best parameter to know whether our kid will have a difficulty in cognitive later on or not.
Okay. And can these cognitive hindrances affect them later in their mental state or their self-confidence and things of that
Definitely.
sort?
Yes, of course. Maybe that's the worst outcome, yes. But sometimes, because this is a spectrum, right? It's not like black and white. So sometimes the spectrum is on the mild. So maybe they're still confident, but they find a little difficulty on math,
Okay,
or
gotcha.
writing.
Certain subjects that
Yes, certain subjects. So yeah, it happened a lot, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we can find our friend during school age, or maybe during the high school, they found really difficult during school.
But it didn't mean that they're not as smart as everybody else.
Yeah,
right?
but
Just
just a
having
tiny bit.
Right.
Yeah.
It have an influence from previously during their toddler age.
I feel like we, along with our friends that we grew up with, a lot of us went through stuff like this, but at the time we didn't identify a lot of
Yeah,
these
Yes,
our
things.
parents
exactly.
were not aware,
Yeah.
or they're just thinking, oh, it's just a myth, because like the boys usually run more rather than talking.
Yeah, physical
Yes.
growth as opposed to mental growth.
Yeah.
Doc, thank you so much for this discussion, and we hope that if you at home have any of your family members or anyone you know that is experiencing this sort of thing, we hope that you found our conversation enlightening, and if you do need to seek professional help, that you continue to do so.
And especially we know that today that intervention does play a big role on your children's futures.
Hey, Hari Anak Nasional is coming up this month, so
That's right.
we got to make sure that we focus on our kids. Thanks again, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're up for another break right now, but when we return, we'll bring you the world headlines. Stay tuned. I think next with you, Doc.